So, in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how you can fix your life and get ahead of your competition. How to stand out, how to feel confident, how to feel accomplished, how to biohack life and its rules, because most of us don't have a clue what we're doing. You know, we have zero idea of what's going on. We have no idea what we're doing. We're all just pretending. We think we know it all, but in fact, we have no clue. So I've put together a few sort of points in this video to kind of discuss and to help raise your self-awareness, your confidence, your self-image, your mindset, all of these things. And I genuinely believe that if you can fix these things, you can outshine anyone, you can outsmart anyone, you can outwork anyone, you can literally achieve whatever it is that you want by achieving these things. But also today I'm just preparing I have some sweet potatoes, I have a melon, and I also have a pineapple, which I'll cut later on. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, 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 bum. So, how can we level up and how can we become the best version of ourselves that we can possibly achieve? So the simplest way to achieve this and the most effective way of this is having maniacal self-belief. And what I'm trying to say is that you need to become a maniac. You need to believe in yourself so aggressively, with so much conviction, that you scare other people, you know? You need to hold frame, you need to believe that if there's anyone capable of doing the job, it's you, you know? If there's a certain person out there achieving it, why can't it be you? You know, that person isn't smarter than you, they aren't more accomplished than you, you know, we all have 24 hours in the day. That person is the same as you, yet that person is winning and you're not. And it essentially comes down to self-belief and how much belief you really have in yourself, you know? That's the single greatest thing that separates winners from losers. And developing this self-confidence takes time, but you know, there's actually a really easy hack. And it doesn't take weeks, it doesn't take months, it doesn't take years, it doesn't take, you know, periods of isolation and spiritual awakenings and those things. You can literally have this overnight, and you know, if not, it can take a few days, and it's just by becoming delusional in your own capabilities. You need to become so delusional that you think that you can achieve anything. You know? Anything that you set your mind to, you can achieve. Anything that you put effort into, you should be able to achieve. You need to become that person. And the only way to do this is to train your brain actively. Our brain, like the majority of us, work on autopilot mode, which means we don't think about the thoughts that come into our head. They're just constantly replaying without our active input. And these thoughts, we've been programmed to believe this way. You know, there's been certain events in life that have made us believe these things. We have grown up thinking this way. You know, we haven't actively chosen to think in this way. So why should we live that life? Or why should we entertain those thoughts that we haven't actively chosen ourselves, and instead people have put them in there, society has made us, you know, think about things this way. Why should we continue to do that? I mean, that's just the ultimate definition of a slave, as a guinea pig, as someone who isn't in control. So let's break that. What's the word? Let's break that stride. Let's break that pattern, and let's take active control of whatever enters our mind, and let only allow in those thoughts that actually favor you, because that way you will become a different person. Forget the negatives, filter out all negatives. Only let in those thoughts that will actually push you forward, that will actually favor you and help you to achieve your goals. In other words, thoughts that are ego-syntonic, not ego-dystonic. So these things promote a healthy ego. They help you move forward. They help you to get things done. They help you to achieve goals. They help you to stay motivated. They help you to, have that burning desire every single day to achieve and to become better. So let's do that. That's the first thing. That's the very, very first thing. The first thing you need to do is develop that mindset that allows you to think this way. It can literally be done in a few days. It doesn't take that much effort. If you just stop thinking on autopilot mode and start with the thoughts that really favor you, that really push you forward, that build yourself up, have positive visualizations. Every morning, tell yourself positive things, have positive affirmations. Now, I don't mean sit there for 30 minutes a day and just tell yourself good things about yourself. That's a slow way to do it, and that doesn't really work. Before you enter a high stakes situation, for example, a big tournament, football game, before giving that speech, before presenting, before something big, you should have a positive visualization of yourself, and you should have already the positive image in your head of the result or of the consequence that comes afterwards. And this is truly the game changer. You need to visualize yourself there already. You need to visualize yourself as having won already before you've actually won, because then your brain can only see yourself winning and you've already won. What your brain sees, the body reacts to and kind of promotes. So have these positive visualizations multiple times a day, before high stakes situations, or let's say before speaking to a new girl that you like, before making new friends, before presenting, before anything that you want to succeed in. Have these positive visualizations and you will really go a long way. The next thing that I wanted to mention is that something that differentiates winners from losers is their ability to bounce back quick. So winners, when something bad happens, they don't play the victim mindset, they don't loathe, they don't feel pity, they don't stay in their room for hours and cry about it. What they do is they feel that emotion and they let it pass. Feel it for 15 minutes, let it pass and move on to the next thing. Don't let that small thing ruin the rest of your day and interrupt everything else. We don't have to feel shit and negative for the whole day. We can let that pass and we can move on to the next thing. I don't get why people, when they feel down, when they feel upset, when they feel irritated, they let that affect their whole mood, their whole day, their whole week, and their whole month. And they end up rotting, they end up in a negative state that they can't get out of. The easiest hack to this and the easiest solution is to just accept it, but move on quick. Put it behind you, let it pass, because that way you will stand out from people who can't do that. And that will be your own competitive advantage. I really hope that makes sense, having the ability to actually, or having the awareness to know that, look, you're going through something negative right now. It doesn't have to last forever. It can be over very soon, and the faster you move past it, the faster you move on, the faster you'll achieve your goals and your results. It's really as simple as that. And most people don't realize this, which is very sad. So far we've talked about having maniacal self-belief, becoming so delusional in your own capabilities and in your own, like being your biggest fan. You have to do that. There's no other way. If you don't conquer the first step, there's no other way to anything. You can try as hard as you like, you can put in as many hours as you want, you can study for as long as you want, you can put in countless number of hours, but if you don't truly believe within your own head that you are the person for the job, you will not get it. You will never get it. So the first thing, and I might argue that it's at least 50%, if not more, having that self-belief is at least 50% of the battle. So you really just have to have it. Next thing we talked about was moving on quick from adversity, kind of, putting things behind us, moving on, getting the next thing done, not pitying, not self-loathing, not wasting time. That's also very important. The next thing that we discuss is reacting aggressively towards goals. Now, most of us tend to freeze, tend to panic, tend to overthink, tend to worry, tend to catastrophize when it comes to accomplishing certain things because we get overwhelmed, we don't know what to do, we think about the worst case scenario, we think about all the negative aspects. But what if we ignore that part and only focus on the positives? What if we truly think that what if this does work out, rather than thinking, oh, this isn't going to work, or oh, I can't do this, or oh, I have no idea what to do. You learn along the way. That's the beauty of things. You take action, and then you learn along the way. No one has everything planned out from zero, That's why things take time, that's why things take effort, there's trial and error, there's failures, there's ups and there's downs. Nothing ever works straight away. So, accept the fact that things will take time, stop panicking, and instead of becoming defensive, react offensively to your challenges, to your obstacles, and to your things that cause you to think negatively. Turn that into positives by reacting aggressively towards them. Think about the person you'll become at the end of this lesson, the person the journey that you'll go through. It'll be tough, there'll be ups, there will be downs. It's a big learning curve, but focus on the person you'll become on the other side and think how grateful and how blessed you are to become that person and to go through that change, because there's nothing else like it. Nothing else prepares you or nothing else builds character like going through difficulties. And that's honestly the 100% truth. Going through difficult things, that's the single greatest way to build character, to build yourself up, to develop confidence. There's nothing else comes close to it. You have to go through these things to learn. And that's the single greatest thing that you can do to build yourself up, build your character, build your confidence. Think of a basketball game or a football game where teams, there's one team that's attacking constantly and they're always on the front foot. There's another team that's on the back foot, they're defending. There's different tactics. People say attack is offense is the best defense. Why don't you apply the same rule to life? Rather than becoming defensive, small, weak, feeble, insecure, irritated, confused, that's all defensive. Why don't you attack and become aggressive towards your goals just like you would in a sports match? By attacking the other team, you don't have to defend because you're constantly in their half. So it's a better tactic to deal with life's challenges and to deal with life's difficulties. And most of us don't do that. Our brains automatically go on defensive mode, and we kind of play that sort of victim, and we become small and quiet. Forget that. Learn to play offensively. Attack big. This will literally change your life. This will literally change your day-to-day life, your mindset, your mood, your results, everything. It's truly a game changer. That's the lemon done. That's the sweet potato. The last thing is a pineapple. And speaking of the last thing I wanted to talk about is having a growth mindset. To achieve anything in life and to go far, you have to have a growth mindset. You really have to have a growth mindset. No matter what happens in life, no matter what you go through, you must believe that you will become a better person at the other end of it. You will become a greater person, you'll become bigger, wiser, better, etc., etc., etc. And having a growth mindset, it allows you to really accept things the way they are and accept obstacles and accept challenges, and you tackle them head on rather than running away from them. Because when we don't have a growth mindset, any obstacle or anything that puts us out of our comfort zone really irritates us. And we look for ways, subconsciously and consciously, to deny that thing, to avoid having to do it. But when you have a growth mindset, when you're full of abundance, when you think that every obstacle that comes your way will make you better, that's when you accept everything, and that's when everything changes, because you know that that thing that's coming your way is necessary for you to become the better person and to excel to the next level. We need that challenge, we need that discomfort to become better people. So then you end up embracing things, you end up embracing difficulties, you end up embracing the lows, the failures, because every failure is an opportunity to learn from. There's literally no such thing as failure. You only fail when you give up. I'm sorry, it sounds very cliche, very cringe. I don't give a fuck. You only fail when you give up, because everything else is a lesson. That's all it is, and we all learn lessons different ways. We all have different lessons to learn, so we can't really compare. It's all very, very relative. So every single failure is a period of growth. Just keep going, keep learning, keep making mistakes, keep experiencing, keep increasing your life experience. That's what life is all about. It's all about increasing your experience. For everyone, life is just all about experiences. That's all it is. Embrace life, live in the present. Embrace failure, embrace challenges, embrace feeling awkward, embrace feeling uncomfortable, embrace feeling embarrassed, because life is just a big ball of experiences, and the more you experience, the wiser you become, the better you become, and the more successful you become. It's as simple as that. You know, there's no secret hack, there's no fast pill that will change everything, there's no magic trick. You just have to go through these things in life. You have to have this abundance mindset, you have to have maniacal self-belief, you have to hold frame, you have to be confident. You know, these things come with time, but if you have your mindset on your side, you will go there much faster, much faster. That's the thing, it takes people so long because their brain isn't even on their side. When so much of the world is already against us, the last thing we need to do is be against us as well, you know? If you can have your brain on your side, if you truly believe in yourself, you will go such a long way. And it's as simple as that. And also, I'm done here cutting. I've cut some pineapple, some melon, and some sweet potato. I'm just going to put these into the air fryer for 15 minutes. Have some pineapple and have some melon on the side. So yeah, that's it. I really hope this video was helpful to you, and I hope you learned a thing or two, and I hope that you can implement these things moving forward. It doesn't have to be difficult. You don't have to create issues for yourself. You don't need to create problems. You just need to develop the right mindset, the right attitude, and the right belief system, and you will excel. It's as simple as that.